Hey team, welcome back to another episode of the Strength Game podcast. I'm your host, Nick O'Brien, and this is episode number 52. The Strength Game is a weekly podcast dedicated to discussing all things physical culture with the coaches, athletes, iron enthusiasts, and experts deeply embedded in the strength game on both sides of the profession, both as coaches and as competitive athletes. I want to thank everyone who has liked, shared, and commented. Your support allows us to continue to bring on expert guests and highlight more individuals in the strength game, just like our guest today. I also want to thank our sponsor, Cerberus Strength. Owned and operated by active lifters, Cerberus is trusted by the top strength sport athletes and lifters in the world. Cerberus's wide range of products are made by athletes for athletes, truly living up to its moniker, made by the strong for the strong. From sandbags, training gear, and supplements to lifting straps, knee sleeves, and more, Cerberus Strength provides the highest quality strength products on the market, designed and manufactured to help you defeat, destroy, and devour your competition. If you're in the market for the highest quality strength and conditioning gear and equipment, be sure to use promo code STRENGTH_game at checkout to receive 10% off your next order at CerberusStrength.com. And in this week's episode, I'm excited. I am joined by Justin Blatnick. Justin is the head strength coach and owner of the Strength Empire Gym in Indian Trail, North Carolina, as well as a firefighter for the Charlotte Fire Department. Prior to opening up Strength Empire in 2017, Blatnick was a self-employed strength coach and personal trainer, working with clients out of his garage since 2015. In addition to coaching at his own training facility, he's worked as a personal trainer at Appalachian State University and a commercial gym, as well as being an intern at both Marvin Ridge High School and with the Carolina Panthers. Blatnick is the definition of a strength sport enthusiast. After playing football for a season at Saint Vincent College, he began focusing his efforts competing in powerlifting, Olympic weightlifting, and Highland Games. He's also tried his hand competing in Moss wrestling, grip strength, and Highlander competitions. Blatnick continues to compete nationally in Highland Games, all while being an active duty firefighter, and has placed as high as 4th and 3rd as a lightweight competitor at nationals and worlds, respectively. I'm excited to have him on the show today. So with all that said, let's get in the game with Justin Blatnick. What's going on, everybody? Today, I'm excited. I am joined by Coach Justin Blatnick, actually a man of many, many different hats. Highland Games athlete, done Olympic weightlifting before, podcast host, gym owner, strength coach, all-around strength sport enthusiast. Excited to have you on today, man. What's going on?
Thanks, man. I'm excited to be on, and I've listened to a couple of your episodes, and I was like, man, this is gonna be a fun one, and I'm gonna add in right away. Now, career firefighter.
I missed the most important one. That's the newest one too.
That's a big change. It's been a big life change, but it's that's where we're at now.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely want to dive into that stuff, and I appreciate you listening to the show, obviously. So it's good to finally get you on. It's been something in the works, and since I got to Florida, I finally got to get one Highland Games under my belt already. And everybody is always like, "Oh, well, Justin comes down here, his brother comes down this place." I was like, "Well, I've been waiting to get him on the show, but let's finally dive into it, man." So I want to start right away. What really got you involved in like lifting, the strength game, and kind of like competing in Highland Games, and actually all the sports that you've been able to compete in lately?
Yeah. So we'll kind of try to make that very long story short. I started kind of in lifting in high school for sports. A lot of people did. And then found I enjoyed it more than a lot of my other peers. Didn't really think too much into it. And when it came to going to college, I wanted to play college football, and I wanted to play right away. I had like maybe a little bit of opportunities at the time was D1 AA. I had a little bit, but I ended up going to a small school in Pennsylvania, Division III school, where I knew I would play right away. Cause I don't like the whole idea of, hey, you're a freshman, you'll probably ride the bench. I was like, I want to play. And I was just going to study biology or maybe go physical therapy there. And I didn't really have a path. And after a year of a team that did not have any success, it was a long, long year. We had 66 freshmen, played a true varsity schedule. It was first year program. I ended up transferring to App State. And what actually like really, really motivated that was like, cruising the internet. I kind of getting into lifting a little bit more and researching, going back. Most people don't look at forums anymore, but like Elite FTS articles back, and it was like training logs is where I kind of started. And I found actually some research from who eventually ended up being my advisors. I was like, this is freaking cool to see somebody can look at power lift or power cleans affecting sprint times. I was like, that was like me nerding out. I was like, I've got to do this. So transferred to Appalachian State. Walked on football there and I was on the team for about a month and got cut. And then long story short, ended up not going back out after that, but dove into exercise physiology. And through my first advisor, she was like, we had this like mini internship we had to do. She was like, why don't you go do it at this other gym? You're kind of into, you like the strength stuff. You know, I was kind of interested in strongman. And she was, why don't you go check out over here? It was an off-campus gym up in Boone. My buddy Travis Gardner, who I'm still dang near best friends with now today, he doesn't own that anymore and moved on. But I went over there, and that's where I first saw like real weights being lifted, like bench presses over 315. Like I'd never really seen a lot of that before. And it was like you're a high school buddies, like terrible form and throw up, 350 maybe. But then it was like, here's powerlifting and strongman. And I walked in and like they invited me to one of their deadlift sessions with a bunch of guys came from around the area. And I watched guys like deadlift like 700-800 pounds. And I was like, I called my dad. I like pulled a hitched as hell, like 445, which is a way over a lifetime PR, just the environment. I had no idea. And I called my dad. I was like, Dad, you'd never believe this. Like these guys lift real weights. Like this is huge, like 700 pounds. I was losing my mind. And that's kind of like the start of it. And I got hooked. So I trained, I did a raw powerlifting meet back then. And then a couple of the guys, Travis being one of them, Travis, my buddy Derek, just from knowing people over the years, the strength game got in the Highland Games. And I threw a little bit in high school and I was interested and I was like, well, yeah, maybe I'll try it out. And at first I sucked. Oh God, it was so bad. Like falling over your first heavyweight for distance throw. And it was like, I was like, why am I here? I'm never going to be able to do this. Like weight over bar. I was like, I can hardly get the thing over my head. I was like, this is insane. Y'all are stronger than me. I'm never going to have success in this. And over the years, got into competing there a little bit. Through college, I did I got into geared powerlifting pretty hardcore. The group there was a big geared powerlifting group. So best competitions lift there, we'll just throw it out. I hit a 750 squat, 550 bench, 630 deadlift, something around those numbers. And different competitions kind of pieced together at like 198, 220. So I had an okay little short stint in geared lifting, really enjoyed it. Really thoroughly. I still love it today. That's why I was actually a little bit late getting on here. People won't know that. One of my buddies from the fire department's a big gear lifter and had to spot him on bench. So I was spotting an 800-pound bench before I came here. So it just fits even better. Perfect for the strength game podcast. I was like, I'll have an excuse to be a little late. But got to powerlifting, got to Highland Games. And then as kind of life went on, I moved back to Charlotte, lived with my family, and I couldn't do geared lifting. You can't really do geared lifting that well by yourself. If anybody doesn't know, squat suits, bench shirts, it's hard to do by yourself. You got to have a kind of a team with you. I was training in the garage and in my garage, my dad's garage. And then long story short, was competing in Highland Games. I got into Olympic weightlifting a little bit too. And I just like training it for the Highland Games. And I guess you could say my training now is kind of like a super total Olympic lifts and power lifts combined. And while I eventually a personal trainer, commercial gym for a year, got into, then I said, I don't like this. I absolutely hated it. I just needed to make some money. I said, if Dad, I'm going to train people out of the garage. And he said, all right, whatever. He trusts me. And I did it for 2 years. And during those 2 years, interned as a strength coach with the Carolina Panthers, part-time, really fit my schedule well with my clientele that I was training, helped them out a lot. And then I came to this crossroads where I had a client ask me to go into medical device sales. The Panther asked me to stay full-time as an intern though. And I had this opportunity that I was playing with of opening my own gym. And that was 5 years ago. And I went and opened the gym, right place, right time, right situation, and just made things work and struggled over the years to make that work. And it allowed me the free time to continue to push competing more. And then kind of we had a group in the gym. I coached a lot of our powerlifters in the gym for a while. And then like we'd take 10 to 15 people to a meet, which was a little wild and crazy. We had a group doing Olympic weightlifting. So I jumped in and competed with them, and all along have dabbled with the Highland Games. And my brother got into it while I was kind of just finishing college. He kind of got into it in college, and he's gone above and beyond where I went. And that's kind of where we're at today. About a year ago, I decided to look at a different career, and we still have the gym going, but got into the Charlotte Fire Department and have absolutely loved every single second of that so far. I've been a little over a year, even with the academy, and now being a full-time fireman. The schedule's an adjustment and life's been an adjustment, but it is by far one of the best decisions I've ever made in my life.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's a lot to unpack right there, but that's the best excuse I've heard of for anybody being late for the show. So
I figured it'd be a good one.
Yeah, no one's going to be able to top that unless maybe you're the guy benching. I think that's
I'll give him that. So so Levi bench. So if anybody wants to I'll throw it out there. I'll give him a shout out at Levi the Fireman on Instagram. Levi's a driver at Charlotte Fire Department. He joined the gym about right after I opened it. Lives close to the gym, and I've trained on and off with him for the past 5 years. And you got to have somebody that knows what they're doing when you're doing a geared bench press to need a lift off and how your rep's going to go. And it's been fun. Like, I still get a taste of my geared lifting by helping him out. And he had 826 today, and then did some rep sets after that. And he was like, "Hey, you good for a couple more sets?" So I was like, "Yeah, I can squeeze this in." It'd be a good excuse if I show up a little late too.
No, I'm all for that. Hey, so kind of touching on that, I mean, there's a lot of stuff, obviously, I want to unpack from everything, because you already really went into kind of all your coaching experience and kind of how you got the gym going and how you kind of got into coaching, and it all intertwined with like all your competitive experience too. But now that you're kind of into firefighting, was a big reason like Levi and some of the other guys that were actually associated with a gym, was it just kind of circumstance where a lot of the gym goers like at Strength Empire were firefighters for some reason, and that kind of piqued your interest in getting involved?
Oh, 110%. So I have to go back to the college days. For those that don't, there's a town called Hickory. It's about an hour south of Boone, where I was in school at App State. And we had a couple guys that would drive up to train with our group. So, and you'll hear this across strength sports: if you want to get good, train with good people, or go learn from somebody that's better than you. And those guys came up, and we had a really good group. We got a couple guys that are doctorate, 3 guys that were training in that group that are their doctorates now in some sort of sport physiology in some way, shape, or form. So we had a great group. We had this lightest man to squat 1,000 pounds. Dr. Derek Wilcox was in that training group. Dr. Jared Skinner. Jared's been at Florida, did his PhD at Florida. We had a hell of a group regardless. Dr. Mike Israel with RP was in that group kind of before I jumped into it. A lot of great minds. So my buddy Garrett Huffman was a fireman in Hickory, and Garrett drove up about twice a week to come train with that group. And me and him did a meet in Pennsylvania. We did a geared lifting meet in Pennsylvania one time. We went to Ohio, but we've done 2. We did one in Ohio, one in Pennsylvania, and just going on those meets, like we talk about this, that, and the other. And he was fireman, and it sparked my interest. I was like, man, this is something that, it sounds cool. It sounds like something I could do, but I never really thought more into it until as I joined Strength Empire or created Strength Empire. I had some of my members were firemen, and specifically Levi was probably the catalyst of it. The most, it was like, man, you should look into this. You should try this, and, after after about a year of him pushing me, I tried to apply, and I just missed the application. So I went the whole next year. My first time actually going through the process, their hiring process, I didn't make it. So it was finally my third time, really my second, I made it. So he was absolutely a big push. Had a couple we've now had even more gym members that are Charlotte firemen join the gym. So it's kind of been good for business that I joined, but I mean, not that good. And it's definitely not a reason. It's just it's a bonus. And it's great to have those type of people around.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome to kind of see that. And I completely agree with what you're saying. Like if you want to be strong, you want to improve, you have to train around those type of people. And a lot of times, I mean, a big thing on the show has been talking to other powerlifters, other strongmen, other Highland Games athletes. Like there's only so far you can kind of take yourself. And some people wear it as a badge of honor just to train by yourself all the time. But like there are opportunities where you really have to step outside of like your garage or step out of your own training program and go actually push yourself with others. Cause this is the same as you kind of starting with those power lifters, like eking out that like 445 deadlift. Like that's not
Oh,
really gonna.
it was horrible too. God, it was so bad. I didn't know any better at the time though.
But that's the thing. Sometimes you kind of just get numb to it, and then you find a place in there, and that you want to find kind of conform or like you take other people's like PRs to heart, and you start kind of pushing your own boundaries even more, which is awesome. And it's kind of cool now to see like the gym and everybody else like in the firefighting community, like in Charlotte now, like kind of get attracted to it. And hopefully that's like a big thing for you guys to kind of stay ready, which is something I know it hasn't been discussed a lot because I haven't had a lot of like EMTs or firefighters on. We did have like Mike Leski was an EMT at one time, like powerlifting back and forth, like on one of the previous episodes, but firefighting is very different, like how the schedule works. So like kind of like you said, adjusting to your schedule now. How have you been able to kind of, let's not even say balance, but like manage or juggle coaching, like running the gym, your own training, and even like sneaking in competitions when possible, all while like getting used to this new firefighting schedule? And what kind of does that schedule look like for people that don't know?
Okay. It's funny you mentioned Mike. Like he was actually somebody like I used to study and watch back in the day when I was powerlifting. It's so cool to see like the connections. And I was growing in geared lifting when like it had its heyday, which is cool. It was really cool because like some people like nowadays people don't know some of these names unless you're an older soul. I want to use the term. Like there's a lot of people that still to this day don't know who Chuck, like some of these newer lifters don't know who Chuck is. I'm like, you don't know who Chuck is? You're not a real power lifter. Yeah, so I actually, it's kind of cool. It's a little bit prideful, I guess. I'm proud of it. And excuse my voice. I'm getting over being sick in and out, but I've always put a lot on my own plate. It's just something I've always done. I'm always a busybody, and it really is just prioritizing your schedule. So joining the fire department changed things a little bit, but even going back, like when I was in college, I wrote my class schedule down, and then I wrote my training schedule down, like when I was going to lift. And then I filled work in around that. And that was trying to put that down. Like it was different then than it's evolved now. But now for the Charlotte Fire Department, we work a weird schedule. We work 24-hour shifts. We work 1 day on, 1 day off, 1 day on, 2 days off, 1 day on, 1 day off, 1 day on, 4 days off. And it repeats like that. So it's like every other day, then you have 2, and then every other, and you have 4 off. So we do have some good time off, but as a competitive athlete and understanding what your body needs, the rest, your sleep is like literally priority number 1 for me, right? Anymore. So like, my days off, I sleep longer. I take naps if I'm off. I'm off today. After we get off here, I'm going to hit a nap. I'm going to train this afternoon. What I do normally now is when I get off, we get off at 7, 8 a.m. Depends on when your relief comes. I'll go straight to the gym then. It's not what I want to do, especially if you've had a long night. But if I do have a long night, I'll pull back a little bit in training and understand that I'm not going to be at my best. And I have to mentally adjust to that. And then, or if you have a good night's sleep, some nights, depends on where you're at, what station you're at, how the night goes. Sleep by night, kind of a normal day. The next day, it just depends on how busy a station you end up at that day. And train in the morning, and then come home, and every day I'm off, pretty much take a nap, just because I know I've been sleep deprived in some way, shape, or form. And it's funny, I got sent some stuff yesterday. Stan Efferding had a little tidbit out on sleep deprivation and hormone balance and stuff like that, and like getting into the fire department or fire life, it is like absolutely it is a big deal. Sleeping and trying to figure out that schedule, you can't figure it out. You're just going to have to adjust and adapt. And now, I mean, you kind of mentioned I don't coach a lot anymore in person. I hired a couple people at the gym to do some in-person coaching. I stepped back from that to really dive myself into the fire service and devote my time there. And we're off. I only work 10 days a month, so I have plenty of time off to train. But I have always been about consistency when it comes to personal training or having clientele. And if I can't meet every Monday with them, if we're going to be like a Monday, Wednesday sessions, because my schedule will shift to where I work on Mondays, I don't feel right doing that to a client. So it sucks to like turn away business, but I'm trying to turn it to my other trainers. But it's doing the right thing for the client and doing the right thing for myself as well, knowing that I can't be as consistent for them that they're going to need to really see the success they need to. And then for myself, it is just committing to, hey, you get off work Monday, or you get off work, what's today, Wednesday? Today's Thursday. There you go. Can't keep track of days anymore. It just becomes, do I work or do I not? It's, I know I got off work, I go straight to the gym. And those gym sessions can vary whether I'm throwing, what time of year it is, throwing, lifting, and how I wrote my program personally, what those sessions may look like. Today it was actually special. I'm going to do a double session. I went this morning, did a little bit of a lighter accessory type lift. This afternoon, I'm going to do some throwing and then do 2 main lifts and be done, be very short, sweet. I actually have to meet somebody to sign up for the gym. So the gym setup, I set it up when I first opened it that I wanted it to be able to run without me being there basically. So we have a 24-hour access for our members. We only have like 50 or 60 members, really about 60 members to keep track of. So it's not like some gigantic gym with all kinds of issues. We auto bill, so I don't have to deal with that but one time. The biggest thing is I have to show up and clean a bathroom and empty the trash. And I'm going every other day, roughly, it's not really a problem. And then in that sense, it's just the hardest part has been for me lately, scheduling like new members to sign them up around my fire schedule. So I actually had 2 people meeting me today, and I've got 1 meeting me on Sunday for signing up. So business is good, I guess. But yeah, it's just committing to that schedule. I've just been always that way in terms of free time. Like I don't watch a lot of TV. I like when I'm in the evenings, I go to bed. I sit around, play on some TikTok a little bit or Instagram and upload some videos. Might send out I still coach remotely a couple people, not very many, because I don't want to do too much and spread myself too thin. And it's really just go to bed, but it's been an adjustment, but it's gone still pretty well. The hardest thing is going to be for 2022 is figuring out, can I get off enough to do the competitions I want? Can I, vacation enough or trade work shifts and commit to the right competition schedule?
Right. Yeah, that'll be a big thing. Hopefully by 2022, like there's no hiccups with all the competition schedule, because I picked your brain a little bit too. Like as soon as I got down here and a few other guys that I know in the area, like Matt Adams, started meeting all the Florida guys too and tried to get some stuff going. So I knew what the schedule was, because I did not realize there were this many games out here. So
there's so many on the East Coast. So from a Highland Games perspective, actually living in Charlotte is like one of the best spots to live, in my opinion, because I can make it to Florida, even though it's a stretch of a drive, but there are so many games I can compete at within a 6-hour day drive, really. And that's the most I like to push it if I have to. Like Jacksonville is about 6 hours from me.
Perfect. Yeah, I already looked at a bunch in like the lower parts of North Carolina, Georgia going up. The spring's going to be hard because I'll be on the road with lacrosse. That's why trying to get everything ready for that. But and I know that apparently Florida doesn't do anything in the summer, just like California, because no one wants to be in that sun for 10 hours.
Yeah. So your games happen early in the year down there, and then you'll have to come up more north during in the summer, and then like the fall.
I'm about that. I like the Carolinas. I mean, I've lived in both Jacksonville, North Carolina, and Jacksonville, Florida.
Yeah.
So it kind of threw people for a loop when I got to this one. So no, it's cool to hear about the gym, because obviously, like right now, actually, before we got going, I was trying to finish my own garage gym. And at one point in time, you self-proclaimed, but I would definitely say it is one of the world's greatest garage gyms. So that transformed though a little bit, and like all that stuff has kind of since moved into the Strength Empire, like the actual facility. But at one point in time, like you said, you were training people outside of that, and you kind of shifted over that. What kind of did the early days look like as you were bringing people in? Obviously, like it was just you by yourself. And like I've heard of a few people do it, obviously blow it up, like Zach Evanesh, like did it for a long time out of his garage. Like what really kind of got that started? And then what, I know you said you got to the crossroads where you could have gone 3 different paths. What really made you like dive deep into actually starting the gym, and what were some of those mistakes early on, like as you transition out of the garage into a full ownership?
Oh, that's some good questions. So, and I'm gonna probably crush some dreams here with some of my answers for people. So that you reference world's best garage gym. That's my number one video I have up on YouTube. It gets views all the time. And I laugh because I look back at me and I'm like, I had like no camera experience, like didn't know how to like talk on a camera. And it's filmed with my iPhone, like iPhone 4 at the time, probably. And I literally just kept collecting stuff. And this was before like garage gym reviews was a thing on YouTube. And like garage gyms weren't big. And I was like, and I put it question mark because I follow a lot of garage gym guys at the time. And there's people that had a lot of cool shit in their garage. But for me, it was like, I just kept collecting stuff. And then my fiance loved it. She goes, you have this way of configuring and puzzle piecing things together to how did you fit everything in the space you have? Cause I kept like, all right, yeah, I want to buy this. So I put a power runner in the garage. I had I had 3 rowers at one point just cause I actually flipped them. But I was like, she was like, how are you going to fit these? I was like, they stand up out of the way. But the motivation to get that started was I kind of got done with college, did a small internship at a high school. And I was like, I needed money. I needed a job. And I just didn't have the right connections with getting into like collegiate coaching or strength coaching and stuff like that, or professional. So I was like, I just found a commercial gym. I was like, I can personal train clients. Like, I need to bring money in and figure out what I'm going to do with life. And I absolutely hated the commercial gym setting with the way that they structured things, the way that they didn't provide me. Like I wanted a pair of 10-pound bumper plates. I was like, can I get 1 pair? And they would not buy those. So I was like, just to put people in the right position for like deadlifting. Lo and behold, after I left, they ended up getting them. I asked them that I don't think they paid me fairly with what their corporate pay structure was, considering I was well overqualified. I'll say it straight up. I was the best trainer they had. And I accidentally, because somebody left the computer up and I was trying to look at my pay stubs, looked at our head trainer's pay stubs. I was like, you know what? This is some BS. I went and said to my boss, I said, I want a 10% raise. Nothing abnormal. I want 10% more of what the client pays or whatever. And lo and behold, they came back with 2%. And by the end of the year, I was like, deuces, I'm out. And he knew it too. I was like, hey, I need to talk to you. He goes, as long as you're not putting in your 2 weeks. I said, well, he's like, get the hell out. He was a nice guy. His hands were tied. It was a corporate thing. But I said to my dad, I said, hey, I think I can do this. And I had a few clients. I said, look, I've got like this non-compete thing. I'm going to we got to keep it hush hush, but I'm going to try to personal train you out of the garage. I'll charge you the same, which in half hour says this. I'll charge you the same to train you for an hour. So you're going to get double the value, and it's me versus somebody else here. So I had a good little handful follow me, nothing crazy. I was not making a ton of money. College loans kicked my ass for a little while, but I tried stuff in mailboxes. I walked one neighborhood with like 3,000 homes and didn't get anything out of it. But eventually it's like, I got a couple little here and there. I had a couple little high school athletes, and I got like a parent out of that. And then I got like some friends from them. And I was not beating the doors down from a personal training standpoint, but I was making double the money working quarter the time working for myself. So I was like, yeah, there's something to this. And got to the point where it was like, we were actually moving out of that house, which that was like oh man, we got to figure out what to do. And I always thought, what if I found a small space and could continue to do this? Kind of did the business plan ahead. First thing I would do to tell anybody would go get a business degree if you want to run a gym. Don't get a personal training. Don't get exercise physiology. You can learn strength training on your own time. Business is way freaking harder to pick up, in my opinion. Because I feel like, I went through undergrad and grad school in exercise physiology. I feel like I've learned maybe equally as much, if not more, with time under a barbell, 1, and 2, probably just reading training logs on Elite FTS, reading forums, just studying stuff on my own, reading research articles on my own. I've learned probably equally as much as I did in all of my schooling, but I do not have the jazz for business. It is just, I run things so smoothly and so simply in business. Like I'd probably scare most business people. Like, oh my God, you track things in an Excel document? Like, yeah, that's income, expenses, bottom line. That is as far as Justin Blatnick goes. But, and if I've told some people today, I'm like, if you want to get big in this industry, don't open a damn gym, because you are not going to make any money opening a gym. Unless you do something like with an exorbitant amounts of money. My gym, we don't make a lot of money off membership. I mean, if I doubled my membership, yeah, we might be making some money, but I don't take a dime out of our gym. I reinvest every dime of membership back into the gym. So we buy more equipment, buy new equipment, upgrade things over the years. And now I'm to the point where we're out of space for more equipment. And I've played the Tetris game again of, hey, how much can I fit? And I really think I'm about out of space at this point. So there is a future goal of expansion. But to go back and answer your question, the medical device sales is one of those, like, hey, I was traveling all over the Carolinas. I wouldn't know where I would be. I'd be gone for 4 days on a road in hotels. Hey, I could have made a lot of money. The money was there, but I just wasn't motivated by that as much as I was helping people. And I didn't want to be a busybody all over the place. That kind of was another reason with going professional / collegiate route, was the volatility in the collegiate sports, or as a strength coach, that it's true. It's out there that if you're a football strength coach and the football team doesn't win and they change their head football coach, the strength coach is likely getting on the chopping block as well. I just didn't like the idea. Like you mentioned yourself, been back and forth across country. That just was not in my calling. Originally, my plan was try to go high school strength coach route, which in North Carolina, you should have gone for a PE degree. So another hiccup for me, mistake I could have done differently had I known. It was like kind of a little too late. But so there's all these kind of back and forth to, like, all right, I found the right place in the gym. The rent was, I kind of did the numbers in my head. I was like, all right, I can afford the rent. If I can get some members and grow membership, this would work. Maybe here, there. I got lucky and I had a guy that was renting, who's one of my best friends now, was renting space out of a CrossFit gym with some powerlifting buddies of his. They came over, I bought his equipment off of him, and they were like 5-6 members right there. That happened pretty early on, but it was really slow to start. And I've yet to, still this day, 5 years in, find a really, really good advertising route to grow membership other than word of mouth. People Google gyms near me, or they find you on Instagram, is basically, or they know somebody in the gym. That's what worked for us. But the hiccups, like you said, kind of with what would I have done with personal training or done differently, I just got lucky, man. I had to pay out of my own pocket to pay the gym's bills for about the first year. And so I was making those sacrifices, whether it's living at home or eventually, like my fiance, at the time, we kind of moved in together, and she was supporting me by not charging me rent because she knew that I was having to put money towards the gym, and she was able to afford the rent. And we made some sacrifices there to be able to get to where we're at now, where the gym kind of runs itself. I'm trying to think what else I was going to mention. Oh, the biggest thing was with like collegiate and stuff, not going that route, was, Panthers offered me a full-time intern position, but the pay was not enough for me. I hated turning that down just because it's like, man, I'm going to be working in the NFL. I'd be full-time. And, where would it go after that? And I had, that's working your connections and working. Hey, Coach Ken was my head strength coach that I got to learn from, which was great. I learned a bunch from him. It was a great experience. I changed how I coach people a little bit. I'm a tier system guy a lot of the time now, but in his hand, and once again, another one where his hands were tied when it came to get me some pay. And I just said, I couldn't quite do my bills on that for me to be able to make it worth a full-time position. So, that led us to where we're at now, man.
Yeah, that's a lot of great advice, obviously, for anybody interested or that has the dream of opening the gym. Like, that one hurt me a little bit too, because it's something that's always crossed my mind. I think obviously anybody that has a lot of equipment, because I mean, I've been collecting stuff forever. I don't have quite as much as you, because I've already looking at my 2-car garage and talking to my girlfriend. I was like, I mean, a third garage would be real nice too.
Yeah.
Just spreading stuff out. And Joe Can has a pretty nice setup too.
He does. Yeah. His headquarters is awesome.
Oh yeah. I love that. He's got some unique stuff in there too, but no, that's good advice talking about like the business side. Obviously people get in there and they kind of get blinded by what the illusion of it looks like, and like kind of like the sexy like appeal of either ownership of a gym or having your own place to go. And you forget that like you have to keep the books, you have to pay taxes, you have to get liability insurance, you have to make sure that members are there. I can't even imagine all the other stuff that kind of goes into it.
I got a couple things to kind of hit on with that for somebody that might be looking to open a gym, and that be like Zach Evanesh. I met him at Summer Strong one year, and we sat and talked about our stuff. And one of the things he said, I can't remember the exact quote, but basically it was like, expect everything to cost double and take double the time. In a sense, that's not exactly it, but you mentioned his name earlier and that reminded me of that. Man, some things pop up. I feel like I'm always spending money on something around the gym. And my model was to open a facility where I could get enough members to cover the overhead of the gym, the membership, it run itself. So it was just a place for me to make money, personal training, where I didn't have to pay another facility some sort of usage fee. Now, after doing it for 5 years, I almost wish I would have just found a facility and paid a usage fee, because you lose the headache and you get to just do your thing and let the gym provide for you the space. And it's like, so somebody like my trainer, Cody, who came to me, he's got a sweet gig. I've got all the equipment that he can imagine and he can use it. And he's got a great setup and I let him keep most of his money, versus the commercial gym was taking well more than 50% of what that client paid for me. So, that was one thing that peeved me, that I knew that if I ever had a trainer, if I was ever going to hire a trainer, he's kind of an independent contractor. Basically, he does his thing and just pays me a usage fee. The best things I think you could do as a trainer, if I were to do it over again, that might be the route I go. 5 years ago, I don't want to say I regret opening the gym. It's been amazing. I've met so many great people and gotten so much out of it. But let's just look at today's day. I mean, my gym rent is going up 30% in 2 months. Like, that sucks. That's like huge into any sort of profit we have that I get to reinvest. So I'm like having to scramble right now and figure out how we're going to manage that. So it's having to learn business like trial by fire, is why I said, go get some business classes in, have a business degree or do a double major or something to learn that side of things before you try to jump into owning a gym. Because there is so many, like you mentioned, insurance, security system. Hey, listen, I clean the toilets every day I'm there. That's the one thing that I still have to do every day there is clean toilets, empty garbage. That's gym ownership. My gym does it. I still got to clean other things and disinfect this and worry about membership, but every day I'm there, I'm cleaning the toilet and taking garbage out. That's about what it's got to now. Membership kind of does its thing, but it's taken such a time, 5 years to get to that point. Well, we got it probably a little quicker. COVID we're not even going to talk about that curveball. So it's been even more to navigate and you question going back and forth. Like I said, man, if you're going to be a high level trainer, have equipment in your garage that you can do what you want to do specifically. If you can't find a facility that'll provide it, if you find a facility like Strength Empire that we have Olympic plates for you to do Olympic lifting, we have strongman stuff, man, just go find a place like that and go make your money. Work all you want, make your money, have a good time.
Yeah. That's all great advice. A lot of stuff, obviously, I've heard of. And before I kind of got involved in college coaching and really like solidified that I wanted to be like in strength conditioning, like I had worked like the floor at like a corporate kind of facility, and I would walk, there were so many different types of personal trainers, and I would like the sleazy ones, like the family man ones, the lazy ones. And I just looked at it and then I realized like kind of how much they were getting taken away, how much they were getting paid, like the type of hours, because they had to go out and recruit their own clients too. And I was like, this is awful. But they loved it just because the fact that it's like, well, I can't open my own place. And one of the guys that mentored me for a while, he was a firefighter for 25 years. Like, I'll have to link you guys up because he's awesome. He used to be a bodybuilder for a long time. He's a cool dude in Maryland. And he tried to open a gym forever and had probably twice as much equipment as you and me put together have. And nasty divorce, took everything.
Yeah.
And couldn't find a place for it. So that's a story for another time. But like, obviously learning from everybody that's kind of gone through all the things, like you don't want to be trial by fire for everything. And you kind of want to go into it at least having some knowledge and expectation of it. But like what you said with Zach talking about, like twice as much time, twice as much, whatever he actually said, like it starts to make sense. Like, I mean, even getting my rack shipped, it's like, oh, freight, does it fit? Like, how much space does it take up? You can measure it as much as you want. It's different when it's almost hitting the lighting in the ceiling. So it's like, I didn't expect that. So it's good advice for sure for anybody interested.
And like with a commercial gym setting, like little things you don't realize, like when I was first opening it, and I caught myself on some of it, but like I'm already thinking of the next facility. Like if I can expand, I'm like, oh, well, our rent would only go up this much. And, oh, we could buy more equipment here. I'm like, but then there's flooring. And it's like, God, just to put stuff on, it serves you not much of any purpose. It's like, I got to spend all this money on flooring. It's like, oh, that's a big one.
Yeah. I forgot all about that too. As soon as I was like, oh yeah, I got a nice flat concrete surface. I was like, oh wait, rubber mats. I was like, okay, that's $500. And it's like, oh, I need to build a platform so I also don't go through that. Oh, that's another $500. It's like, oh, I still have to put it together. Awesome. It's like, do you want to buy it brand new? That's like triple that. And then you still have to pay for freight. I was like, all right, we're gonna start bolting some stuff together and see if it holds up. Hey, so I know you have a lot of stuff like within the facility. Obviously, you already talked about it. Like you've got stuff for strongman, you got stuff for Highland Games, powerlifters, weightlifters, and everything. And you've already dabbled in just about everything. Just to kind of, like I said, you're a strength sport enthusiast. Why do you feel like it's important? Do you think it's important to train in such like a wide variety of methods for everybody? And like, what kind of, since you're really involved in Highland Games the most, it's like, have those avenues kind of tempting the fate and like those avenues and that training helped at all or hindered, or what do you kind of think is like a good avenue for someone that wants to get involved in one sport, but doesn't want to get rid of some of the other like training modalities maybe?
Oh, man, you guys have good questions. I love this, man. So I've dabbled. I love strength sports. I've got into it and I absolutely love it. I mean, if you even include, I've done a Moss wrestling competition. I've done a grip sport competition, Highland Games, geared powerlifting, raw powerlifting, Olympic weightlifting. I've kind of done unofficial strongman stuff. And I love it all. I think it's strengths of feet or feats of strength they're so fascinating to me. I'm such a fan of just about any of it. It doesn't matter. Drug tested, untrained, what federation. Hey, squat to depth. That's one that I'd really make sure that I like to see. But man, I just love it. And then I am a competitor. I am competitive. I absolutely hate losing. When I was a kid, I cried when I lost. That's who I was. And I also am like, so it doesn't matter what sport it is. I want to be good at it. It's just a personality thing. And I joke and tell people like I'm a CrossFitter for strength athletes, that I do all of it kind of relatively good. I can jump in and do okay in all of it, which is kind of like good and bad, because and this is where I tell people that anybody that joins the gym or somebody I'm coaching, kind of my new, I guess it's almost developed into a new mantra, is that no matter what you're doing, if you're not having fun with what you're doing in strength sports, stop, do something different, or get the hell out and find something that you are doing that's fun. Because there's very, very, very few people in strength sports that make money enough to make a living and or even make any money that is anything significant. So what are you doing? What are you coming to the gym, realistically abusing your body? Because there's a lot gentler things you can do to your human body that might be a little easier or more beneficial for you. They may not be the adrenaline rush. And that's another big reason why I do a lot of what I do is I love the adrenaline. I'm an adrenaline junkie. But if you're not having fun, what you're doing, get the hell out, get the F out, figure something else out that's going to be fun. That changed my experience in the Highland Games when I realized I was taking it too serious. I mean, yes, you want to take serious. I want to be competitive. I want to win. But if I'm pouting, getting pissed off because I'm doing bad, whatever, like not the attitude. Highland Games is way too fun. In the grand scheme, it doesn't matter. You're not going to make a living doing this sport. There's like one person ever that did for a little bit, and that's Ryan Vieira. No matter who you are. Same with powerlifting. You're going to make money maybe off of like, if you're a chick posting your butt on Instagram, you probably get like followers and somehow make money with some sort of sponsorships, but is it even going to be enough to make a living? Probably not. Strongman, there's like 2 guys that probably make a living, 3 guys. Endorsements, Brian Shaw having all that he's got going on, Thor, endorsements, Game of Thrones, like you're making money other ways than just in strongman. And, some of these competitions are getting to that point, but I mean, let's go to CrossFit even. The top 2 or 3 people are the only ones making enough money to really make a true living, not coaching on the side. I'm not talking coaching. This is not coaching. This is just competing. So whatever you're doing, I tell people you need to have fun. Don't get overly stressed over a competition. Like go in having fun, do it with a group of your friends or people you lift with at your gym. You're going to have more fun. You're going to be more relaxed. Go for PR, go for it on your 3rd attempts. That's what you're here for. You paid money to do this. You are paying money to a gym. You're paying money to a coach, to a nutritionist, for programming, whatever you're doing, you're spending your money. I tell you what, there's a lot of other things I could spend money on that's not strength sports that are pretty awesome. Like I could buy a jet ski. Those are pretty fun. There's all kinds of things. That's just a stupid example. And that is really what got me to dabble in all of them. And the challenge. I'm like, sure, I'll do it. I'm that guy. Like, oh, you're squatting this today or you're deadlifting this today. Yeah, I'll jump in and try it because that's fun to me. So from a perspective of improving as an athlete, I just like to also be a general all-around athlete. I want to be able to jump in and do anything. Hey, I'll train for this. Like right now, I'm dabbling with the idea of maybe doing a powerlifting meet, but I stopped myself because I have bigger goals in the Highland Games in this next year. The one that is really hard for me, because like I said, my competitive side is we have the big record board up on the wall in the gym, and seeing those numbers up there and my name's not up there irks me every day I'm in there, that I want to go chase those numbers down. Like it's just being competitive. I want to go take those powerlifting numbers off that board. But then I say, not your priority because of what your success I've had in the Highland Games. So you do need to have some sort of concentrated effort on what you're specifically going to do. But I still am going to train to get strong, which I could do powerlifting. Do you really, really have to do a whole meet prep phase to go jump in a powerlifting meet? No. And that's what I've done sometimes, is gone and jumped into a competition, not prepared for it, and just, hey, guess what? However I place, whatever, I'm going to try to have fun today, meet some new people, and try some different stuff. I've done a Highlander before where I did a stone press overhead. I've never done one in my life. I said, we'll figure it out. Let's go do it. Why not? Having competitions gives me a reason to train, gives me motivation to say, I get off work at 8, I'm going straight to the gym because I want to be successful. That's who I am as a person. So I tell anybody, like I had a girl sign up for the gym this morning. I said, do you compete? Do you want to? She said, no, I don't feel like I'm strong enough yet. And it's just not really yet. I said, we're no pressure. There's a lot of people here that do compete. So if you ever are interested, talk to these people. Don't worry about how strong you are. You just got to get your feet wet the first time, and we'd be here to help you. And it's just know you're doing it would give you a reason to motivate you to come to the gym more if you had those days that don't. For me, getting into the Highland Games, how I train, I've always enjoyed, in kind of the sporadic mind, conjugate lifting fits me really well. There's different lifts every week, pushing yourself. It's the challenge, the competition standpoint. I've always enjoyed training conjugate. I did a lot when I was competing in in powerlifting, and I've kind of kept it in the program over the years and had my tweaks. And hey, how can I take conjugate, put it together with tier system? How can I do conjugate but make it linear and do, oh, let me do conjugate, but I'm going to do a 4-week block or a 3-week block of the same lift. Now it's not conjugate, but then I'm going to change it in 3 weeks. So it is conjugate. And who cares what the definition is? If I'm enjoying it and I'm sticking to it, that's my programming. It's not the perfect, like in a textbook type thing, but it's what, like I said, I'm going to make sure I have fun when I'm in the gym. I'm going to enjoy what I'm doing in the gym. Do some things suck? Absolutely. But it's, I've got to the point where I enjoy the Olympic weightlifting movements, although they do take a lot of time. I enjoy the technicality of it. I enjoy the technicality of a bench shirt, but that really doesn't translate into anything close to the Highland Games. So I myself, I'm proficient enough that I think I do get benefit out of both, doing Olympic lifts and training just strict power lifts. But there's a lot of people that are newer to the Highland Games or newer to strength training that you kind of need to stay in your lane. If you want to if you come in from a powerlifting background and you want to be a thrower, you don't need to devote time to learning the Olympic weightlifting movements. Instead, put more effort into plyometrics and or throwing a lot more. Just go throw. It's a plyometric. It's an explosive power movement. Go throw. You can get your strength from your powerlifting, and then you can go throw and get your explosiveness. Or people need to learn. I tried to put a video out one time. It's one that I think is so simple to get people, if they really, really, really swear by the Olympic weightlifting movements, but they don't know how, because there's a lot of people that absolutely look horrible doing it and you're not getting anything out of it, is like a jump shrug. Or I tell them it's a jump catch if they're going to do a power snatch. And some people are against starting with the snatch versus the clean. I think the snatch is almost easier for a lot of people, especially bigger guys, to get into than a front rack position in a catch standpoint. So I'm like, just jump and catch the power snatch. I tell them jump, or a jump shrug with a barbell and a snatch grip or a clean grip. I'm like, if you could just learn what this power position is and just do that, you're going to get more out of it than trying to do some haphazard clean or snatch or hang snatch. And if you don't know what you're doing, and you're wasting your time in terms of like consolidating your stress and your time standpoint, trying to learn the weightlifting, it's not going to benefit you that much from a throwing perspective, in my opinion, instead of just, hey, go grab a pair of dumbbells and jump up in the air 5 times as high as you can. So there's a lot of that. Like, I still do it because I personally enjoy them and believe it is going to help me. But there's other things, like I have to step back and like, I'm doing less competitive weightlifting style movements. And it's more like, hey, I am doing more just straight jumping plyometrics right now, to try to continue to work my speed component of the Highland Games. I think you also have to sit back, and we had a class in college that I loved called Survey of Sport Performance, is take whatever you're going to be in and analyze what you need and then train for that. So strongman has so much variety, but you have to say, okay, do I need to do X, Y, Z, or do I need to focus on A, B, C? People get too scatterbrained sometimes, which I'm guilty of, absolutely. But you just have to take your purpose and then train for your purpose. It's not perfect periodization. It's not what you learn in school, but it goes back to just, hey, I need to be faster. You need to train some speed stuff, whether it's speed squats and speed benches, or maybe you just need to jump, or maybe you learn how to run a sprint. And I think jumping is so underrated I'm going to use like masters powerlifters and masters like Highland Games throwers. It's like jumping is a skill that as we get older, we tend to do less and less. So we like detrain and do not learn that skill anymore. And it's like, holy crap, this is such a basic thing, and we forget to do it. So make sure you're still doing the simplest. It doesn't have to be some crazy setup. Jump onto a soft box that's 12 inches high. Don't jump on a high box and risk getting hurt. You got to kind of figure out what you need and train for what you need, and find what's your best bang for your buck, and especially time. So you mentioned Highland Games. Go throw. 99% of throwers need to throw more, plain and simple. Hurt some feelings on that one too, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. That's definitely one thing that as soon as I started getting involved in Highland Games, I was like, I have enough experience, like lifting. Your background is big enough. It's like, what's the one thing that you're trying to learn to do? Okay. You want to compete in Highland Games? Well, you don't know how to throw. So worry about throwing first. And that's a big thing that you're talking about. Like, obviously you have enough background, like competing in so many different things and training for such a long period of time. Like someone else coming in that wants to get involved in Highland Games or strongman or powerlifting and has no background, has no training experience, like they should just probably stick to exactly what you're saying. Stick to specifically what you want to excel at. Yeah. But you can kind of be a generalist in everything and hop into a powerlifting meet and not have an ego and like be trying to push your max numbers when you're not ready for it. It's like, just hit whatever you want and have fun. And I mean, you touched on a little bit of everything. I love everything you said. Like, we're paying to play.
Yeah.
And I can count, and it's three figures. It's three figures, 1, 2, 3. It's under $100 it's less than 1,000. It's more than 100 of how much money I've made in my life off competing. Like, not including reimbursements and stuff, but like,
it's easily cash. Well under. I'm not even clipped $1,000, and I've competed in Highland Games for 11 years. I'm not even to that point yet, which is it's hilarious to think that I've put so much time and effort into something like that. And you just kind of giving a synopsis of that kind of made me think of two things. Kind of what I tell people. I said this on another podcast I was on one time. I can't remember how he phrased the question specifically, but and we kind of already touched on it, but it's great to reemphasize. Number one, I tell people have fun, and number two, I think it might have been like, what's the best thing you can do in the gym to improve, or what can you improve with yourself, or what would you do to continue to improve? And I said, there's two parts to that. One, sleep, which we already mentioned. And the other one we already mentioned as well is find somebody who knows what they're doing and go train with them. Find a group and go train with that group. You know, if you have to go, if somebody else, this group is doing squat day to day and you weren't going to, man, go squat with them and work spot each other, change each other's plates. They'll spot you. You're going to learn so much from spending that time with other people. Like, go train in a group. And we're getting there, and I dabble. And that's part of it is I jump in because I don't have anybody specifically that trains Highland Games with me. Now I've got a couple at my gym now that like, I'm going to try to throw with a girl on Sunday, like get a practice in, but I'm teaching her while I'm practicing with her. I don't have anybody to teach me. My brother has done an amazing job of traveling, led to his success. I mean, there was a period of time, I think he was going once a month. He drove 3 hours one way to go train with guys that were better than him. The Miller brothers, he would go train with the Miller brothers once a month. You send video to people that are better throwers and get critique every day. I've done that for periods of time. But training with that group mindset holds you accountable. It's going to make you have more fun because you can't be an asshole or they're not going to keep you around. And it's going to push you, because even if I'm squatting with my buddy Levi and Levi out squats me by 200 pounds, hey, on this variation, you outlift me by 200. If I can stay within 200 pounds, it's a win for me. That's my competitiveness. Is, hey, can I go 180? If I'm only 180 pounds less than them, I won today. And that is so big, if having that community. So find yourself, if you do have a home gym, man, go travel to some other gyms and go train with a group or train with a couple guys from time to time. Do it once a month or schedule it around. If you go do a Highland Games, maybe Sunday you find a gym and go lift on that Sunday before you come home, or go Friday night and do a quick, easy lift, but go experience something with somebody before you go compete. And that's using those resources and learning as much as you can, because you can never stop learning in this game. I still today, video is one of the greatest things. You can video something and watch yourself, or you can send it to somebody else and say the exact opposite of what you were thinking. I send videos. I got a group of guys. There's a couple of us that send stuff back and forth all the time. And it's so valuable to have somebody else's eyes on you. But yeah, it pushes you to have fun. Like, that is what you need to do if you really want to improve, no matter the strength sport. It crosses all strength sports. And even athletics is way too simple. I mean, go get a coach.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I don't understand why people are so miserable going into training. I know for a fact that like my training suffers a lot. Obviously, being a coach, like I overanalyze everything all the time. And my program try to throw way too much stuff in, which has always been my problem. And especially like when you start collecting toys and you become a gear whore and just strongman equipment, like nice powerlifting bars, like all my Highland Games stuff. I can't tell you how many stupid rocks I have in milk crates that all the movers were so confused about, but it's like, just go with it, man. But no, it's great. Like, you should have fun with everything you're doing. And I think that's why longevity for people that stay in it, that's a huge thing. And going on the road and experience other stuff, especially if you're someone that trains by yourself, or you're training in one of these sports that is inherently individual. You're the only one on the platform. You're the only one in the trig throwing. Like, you're the only one when it comes to like a competition, someone saying go. But at the same time, like, there's so many people that back you or that help you prepare for that. And that's one thing I love to do, like go on the road, like when I'm traveling with one of my teams and go visit a coach. If I can get a lift in, it's like, oh, what do you got? What do you want to do? It's like, I'm here to do whatever you're doing today. It's like, I know I have a plan of what I really want to hit, but I guarantee that I'm not going to set up all that equipment and be the asshole coming to visit. It's like, I'm in your house. What are you doing today? What's on the docket? I'm in for it. And that's what it should be. Just be open to training and be willing to kind of learn some stuff. Cause it's fucking rude to come in and be like, yeah, do you have this? I was like, that's not a Texas power bar. I can't use that. It's just, it's such a weird thing.
Yeah. And you kind of hit on that, like going and lifting with somebody else, doing their thing, man. This came from Brandon Lilly a while back. He had a program out called 365 Strong, and his mantra, like, or his like little intro to it, was talking about, and I think, oh my gosh, I'm blanking on his name, Josh, Jailhouse Strong on Instagram, the big bench press coacher guy. Oh my gosh. Anyways, Jailhouse Strong, he talks about gas station ready. If somebody's going to mess you up at a gas station, you got to be ready to go right there. The whole from Zombieland. Do you ever see the lion warm up before it takes down a gazelle? Like, no matter the day, I've something else that kind of I haven't really hinted on is injuries. I mean, I've learned so much being under the bar and injuring myself. And I joke, and I've got PT friends or people that are coaches that I talk to. I'm like, I am always willing to be a guinea pig. I mean, you want to try something out, or let's look at this, let's look at that. Use my body so I can learn. I am selfish. I want to see, hey, my shoulder rotation type stuff. Let's try this. Let's do this. I learned this. I am all for trying whatever it is. I don't care, because if I can feel something, I can articulate it to a client or a friend or whatever it would be. And I've learned so much, from trying to recover from injuries and this, and the other, is that there's that whole, like, yes, you got to push, but you got to listen to your body. That trying to train, there's a point where maturing in your career, everybody says you got to spend more time in recovery work. You wish you did more of that. I think the biggest thing that I would say that I've matured as a lifter and as a competitor is learning to listen to the body in a standpoint of not really like pulling back, but knowing how to adjust for if you're banged up or you're tired. I'm still going to train and train hard. I may change the intent a little bit, as well as, okay, my back is not feeling right today. My low back, I've got low back issues. If it's not feeling right today, let me go belt squat instead of back squat. I can still get a good stimulus, but I'm going to adjust and be smart about feeling good every day. One of the craziest things I never thought I would ever dream of that I would enjoy. My Fire Academy was 8 months long. The only barbell movement we really did was bench press. And I sandbagged it first day. If it's out there now, I was probably benching around 4 when I went in. My max that I told them was 335, because I didn't want to overdo it and beat myself up with the academy. But I did not train outside the academy for 8 months. Our academy took 8 months because of COVID, quarantines and stuff like that. 8 months long, 32 weeks. I did not train outside of the academy. I did not want to risk injury and something happened and I lose a career. And I felt like I was going to get weaker. And I absolutely did. We did a lot more cardiovascular type stuff, a lot more like, let's call it CrossFit style workouts, circuit style workouts, nothing with barbells, nothing super heavy. Do I think we could do things differently and do it maybe a little bit better? Yeah. I mean, that's a personal opinion. I can tell my work capacity improved, like my recovery per set. Like I could do a set of something, set it down and turn around and be like, all right, I'm good to go. Let's go again, which is great from a firefighting standpoint. But I was worried about what am I going to do as a competitor? It was the first time in my entire lifting career I took time away from a barbell on my back or in my hands, like resting a low back issue. And it still bothers me now, but like I found so much value in staying away from a barbell for a substantial amount of time that I was like, light bulb moment. Oh shit, I've got to do this more often. Like, so depending on the time of year, I'm going to take 5 weeks, 6 weeks away from a barbell. I may do stuff like heavy step ups, heavy lunges, but I'm going to take time away from squats and deadlifts. Olympic lifts, I might say I'm only doing speed powers measured by a Tendo unit. So I can't go too heavy and regulate myself to stay away and give yourself recovery. That whole gas station ready 365 strong. I want to be able, no matter what, to show up and compete. And if I can compete, no matter the day, if it's in the gym on next Tuesday, somebody's going to do something stupid like, hey, yeah, we're going to do a dinghy stone lift today. All right, I'm in. Let's do it. I'm ready to go. Or, hey, we're going to clean off the blocks. We're going to max our clean off the blocks today. Cool. How high are the blocks? Oh, below the knee height. I'm in. Let's do it. I want to be ready every day I step in the gym to perform at my best, even if it means there's days that I got to pull back a little bit so that my body feels rested. I've never truly understood, and I always tried the deload weeks and periods like that. Man, truly deload, truly taking your body a break can change so much. I mean, I can't believe I haven't mentioned it at this point in this podcast till now, but like I just had one of the guys I coach powerlifting. I made him do it 5 weeks and it was driving him crazy because he wanted a barbell. He told me one day, he's like, I'm going to squat today. I was like, fine. I was like, just pissy with him. I was like, fine, trust the process. I'm sure. I get like being sarcastic as hell. And he just did a meet and all we need to do is qualify on that meet. And he did fine. And he's like, man, I realized the difference of actually recovering or feeling good going in, because you don't have to absolutely beat yourself down day in, day out. Some people will tell you the exact opposite. They're hardcore, this, that, the other. I want to be ready to go every day, no matter what. And if I'm banging something up because I'm doing something stupid, training too hard, on the gas pedal too much, man, there's going to be a point where that gas pedal is going to run out. And I want to keep that going. I'm 32, almost 33. I want to keep this going until I'm 50. So I know I've got to already start thinking that far ahead.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it too. Like not just that day, blowing it out that day. And that's one thing, like when you're first getting started and you're invested in it, like it's something, a newfound passion, you're just going to go. And I mean, when you're 18, you're low 20s and it's just piss and vinegar and you can just beat it. And you wake up the next day, like after pulling PRs, like, yeah, I feel fine. I can do it again. It's like, I'll pull another PR today. It's like, yeah, you can't do that anymore. And you'd rather be ready to go. And I think you're right. Like there's a lot of under recovery happening for a lot of people. And you can deload however you want and take a step back, but that step back lets you set yourself up to take a few steps forward or kind of reevaluate what you're doing and kind of change your approach, because some people don't realize when you're just kind of only hitting everything with a hammer and going straight ahead that you're making a mistake or you're setting yourself up for a big injury, thinking that blowing through it is just going to be the end all be all for it. It's completely different, but it's definitely interesting to hear like you talk about that, because I have felt that difference, like taking some forced hand like time off, like especially like moving and everything. Yep. It's like this is a perfect opportunity. Why would I like try to, originally I was going to stop at so many different schools and visit people, and I was like, there's no way to, and like try to train at these places while moving. I was like, why? What's the point? It's like take some time off and see what it feels like to be away from it and be reinvigorated to come back and be itching to come back. And that's a different feeling that if you've never taken a true, like some time off from those movements, you'll never know what that feeling is to like reintroduce yourself to training again.
Yeah. The other thing is also just, to convince yourself that you're not doing any bad is change your focus. So, for me, it was very cardiovascular based, and it's something that I'm trying to implement more now that time off. I'm going to do more, let's just call them CrossFit style WODs. I'm not doing handstands because I'm not doing handstands. But it's been, I think there's also, I also learned more that, and it is through personal, you always know cardiovascular and fitness is important, and different types of cardiovascular fitness is important. That improvement in cardiovascular fitness aids to your recovery as well. So taking a time and say, this is what I'm going to do more of. Hey, every workout I'm going to end with a CrossFit style WOD. It may take me 7 minutes to 15 minutes. I'm not going to absolutely beat myself down with something crazy. Like I did one, we'll use this morning. I did one. It was overhead squats, pull-ups, push-ups, and sit-ups. Very simple stuff, but that's what I did personally because my job relies on it now a little bit differently. But it's not just, and that's part of the being ready every day. I can't destroy myself if I have to go work tomorrow because I've got a job to perform. And that's same with anybody that's an athlete. You can't destroy yourself in a weight room and then be able to go perform in practice and then on the field or in the court, whatever it would be the next day. So there is a point where you can, hey, I might not be pushing the weights as heavy right now, but I'm going to take time to work on my cardiovascular fitness to lead to improvements down the road. Being able to interset recovery. Hey, I'm ready to go right after that set. So I can maybe superset it with something else and I can do a corrective in between or whatever that would be. There is strength athletes need more of that. Strength athletes need more cardiovascular fitness, one for longevity in their lives, also longevity in their careers. That once again, it was a trial by fire. It didn't happen until I actually had to do it, that I really, truly believe in it. And that's going to be hard for a lot of people to step away from a barbell or go do more cardio type stuff, and find whatever fits for you to do it. Walk on a treadmill. I don't care. It's low impact. That's what I do as well. Almost every night lately at the firehouse, not last night, it was a crazy day, but I'll go walk on the treadmill for like 30 minutes and I'm not killing myself. I'm just moving. And it's because I know that's going to help me down the road. It's going to help me when it's time to go in a Highland Games. I've got to do 9 events all day long. I got to have some cardiovascular fitness, even though they're very short bouts of energy. I got to be able to last all day long. So something just a little different, throwing it all out there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that kind of ties back into being ready. And I think a lot of people that are probably in that intermediate level, and I've definitely fallen victim to this when I first got in strongman and I was like, everything is focused on strongman. Or then like when I moved to California and there was no strongman really around the area and it was all Highland Games. I was like, I'm putting all my focus into this. If it doesn't directly impact Highland Games or strongman, whatever I was training for, it's like, I'm not doing it. But realistically, like bodybuilders can run, like strongmen can do conditioning, Highland Games athletes can do hypertrophy work. Like all those things that we kind of think are taboo for doing that deteriorate your performance in those sports are not the case. You can still do all those things.
Yeah, I'll give a secret. I don't know if it's going to work. I've never fully done it, but because like I still try to now, since we ran a lot in academy, I don't want to use the term relearn how to run, but I really trained my ass off hard to get ready for the academy. Because I knew we were going to have to run X amount of distance next time, but I still keep a little bit of dabbling with some running in now. When I was getting ready for amateur worlds, I cut back on that stuff, consolidating stressors. I was cutting back on my running then. So I've picked it up a little bit now, and it's distance stuff. I go jog 1.5 miles, nice and easy. Don't hurt myself. That's about the most I do. But my plan now is I'm going to keep that through the winter time, but coming into the spring, my plan, I've already kind of written my plan out further ahead, is to implement more. I love short sprinting, but I'm going to do more longer sprinting because that's going to give me a little bit more of what I need for the fire department, but also dabble a little bit with what I need from a Highland Games perspective. So I'm going to start with like longer sprints, like hundreds, and work my way down as the season goes. I'll do 1 day a week of some sprinting. So I might go run 10 hundreds, run down, walk back. And then I might switch. My plan is to switch to like 40s and then probably towards later in the season 20s. And I have it written down that's the plan, and starting to shift to that, because actually getting ready for the academy, I did a lot of 400s and 800s. So I'm kind of like going back through that, but shifting. I'm going to shift slower or shorter distance is what I'm going to shift to. So that's Justin Blatnick's plan for 2022.
I like it. Kind of on that same train of thought. Like obviously it's a good way to kind of get like blend the two together, because obviously like the priority always is going to be a career. Obviously we talked about it. You're not making a ton of money as a Highland Games athlete. Unfortunately, no one really is. I don't think anybody actually made a career out of it. Maybe like
Vieira did.
Rest in peace.
I wouldn't say a full career, but I don't know how many years he went along with actually not doing anything but throwing. But I mean, he goes to Scotland for 2 months. That's part of it.
Yeah, he made a killing out there. That was actually the last competition I got to do in California was his Memorial Games,
Wow, that's awesome.
Which was pretty awesome to hear all the guys' stories about him. And I got to see him. Actually, I seen him coach, but I've never got to see him train or compete. But like to see everybody from like the community come out and all the other throwers and like all his former athletes was pretty cool. I won that competition, so I got a sweet still, like
awesome.
huge picture, like color picture of him, which is going up in the garage as soon as I get a dehumidifier so it doesn't get ruined.
Awesome, dude. That's awesome.
But it's like blending those worlds together is a good way to do it, because I mean, for the longest time I've been trying to, at least for the last almost 6 years, still try to find a balance between coaching, which you're on your feet for 10, 12, 14 hours, whatever it's going to be, helping someone else out, doing strongman events, and then trying to throw in Highland Games. And obviously, like we talked about it, like being sleep deprived and having to be on 24-hour shifts, and then really trying to owning a business and being a gym owner, training yourself, and then being able to get out and throw too. You have to be able to train for both avenues a little bit. And it's not going to be perfect because you don't have enough time in the day to be able to do that. But like now, can you talk a little bit more about like what maybe now that you've been a firefighter for a little bit longer, have you seen that you weren't prepared for like as a training aspect? Or do you think like just all your previous like strength experience and everything has kind of prepared you, aside from like maybe some of the cardiovascular stuff that now you've been adding in more?
Yeah. Well, and another, I'll kind of segue into this too, but one of the things that I don't know if it truly worked, man, placebo effect, I'll take it all day. If you're on your feet, one of the things I invested in, I bought the Air Relax boots, the inflatable boots, the compression pants. Normatechs have a recovery, whatever. Their Air Relax are the cheapest ones I got off of Amazon or their website or whatever. Those things are amazing for, like, I call it dead legs. If you're on your legs all day, on your feet all day, I feel that like my legs are dead. I'll put them on and I feel rejuvenated. Personal experience. I did it after the academy a lot every night. I was doing it if we had long days. But in terms of firefighting specifically, being a all-around strength athlete absolutely helped me going in. And I prepared for the academy with what I knew from guys that I've heard of, what I need to be good at. I started 3 months out from the start date and I started running. I ran twice a week. Sometime every other week was like a third time a week. And that third time was a longer run. So like a 4 or 5 mile run. Well, excuse me. I started small and built my way up to that. And we had to do 1.5 miles as part of our fitness test, but I did a lot of the CrossFit style workouts because that's what we were getting exposed to. And my training captain, he described it in a certain way. You have to look at firefighting almost as his own sport, that if you're going to air bottle, when you go into a fire situation, you're going to be working for about 20 minutes hard. So you have to prepare yourself that I can go do work 20 minutes hard. So we did some training stuff where we would go out and we'd do wall balls, sit-ups, med ball slams, lunges, push-ups, and running the tower all mixed together. But the goal was, we're going to go work for 20 minutes before we have a break. You're going to go 20 minutes straight of this circuit of what you're going to do. And we did it as a group. So you did, maybe slow down a little bit here with one guy, and then we'll push through the exercise and then jog to the next one. I came in, I don't know if I could have been any more better prepared for the academy, which also leads to better prepared for the job, other than my cardiovascular fitness could be better. I'm a 240-pound guy. A lot of people even said it. They did not expect a 240-pound guy. On our first run test, I ran 1.5 miles in 9:30. And that's nothing amazing. I know guys that are like some of these hybrid athletes do some absolutely phenomenal stuff with like Adam Link's one of them. He's a CrossFit guy, like ran like sub 5-minute mile and deadlifted 500 pounds the same day. Like that's phenomenal. Like that kind of fitness fits great. CrossFit, great athletes fit great for a firefighting mold, but there's stuff that's easier when you're bigger and stronger. It's easier to throw the ladders we have to, or dragging other individuals if you're a bigger guy. Now there's a point where confined space, not as good a thing for me, being a bigger guy. But Prepared for that. Physically, I treated it like its own sport. Like I was getting ready for some sort of sporting activity. And that's kind of continued to now. Like I've got back into more throwing and lifting, but I'll keep those circuit type workouts in, at least minimum twice a week. And then like we have, every firehouse has some sort of weight room equipment, some much better than others in our city. But when I'm on shift, we're given an hour per day for workout. I try to do something every day I'm there. It does help fill some time gaps. Of course, almost every time you work out, you get running calls. So your workout's broken up. It's just the nature of it. You have to mentally go into it with that mindset. Another one I've done is I actually quit working out so hard at the fire station because there was one day, my first fire, I was doing a back and grip workout. And then I go to a fire and I couldn't hold on to my tool because my grip was so shot. So I've actually like toned things back. So like I did a front squat workout one time. All I did was front squat. And it took me an hour and a half. Well, I was taking my time in between each set. So if we get calls, I'm not going to get, beat down because I'm in the middle of a workout. I had that happen just last week or week or 2 weeks ago. I was doing overhead squats, got done with the set, boom, big house fire. So it's like, you have to know that for me, I had to pull back my intensity in my workout, knowing that real life is going to happen on shift. But it is just I do have to, in my mind, I have to be in good shape for my job because no, you don't fight a fire every day, but you never know when it's going to happen. And I need to be at my best when I walk into that fire. If you're mid workout, you're just extending your workout in a different way. There's not a lot I wasn't really feel like I wasn't prepared for. Things are different. You can't see in a fire, which if there's a lot of smoke, sometimes you can, but smoke conditions are scarier than fire. Fire, you can see it's bright. Smoke is a little scarier mentally. But being able to see, I don't know of a single time where being strong won't help. It definitely helped me with a lot of the tasks that some other people struggle with more. And as simple as if they were stronger, may not have been as bad, but, do I think maybe I was too strong? No. Do I think I had too much focus on strength? Maybe. I mean, if I was not doing competitive strength sports, cardiovascular fitness would definitely would be more of a priority. But I feel like when I took the time to prepare and when I did, I think I did really well. And then now I don't have to do as much now to kind of keep it where it's at is kind of the way I look at it now.
Right. No, I'd agree with that too. I would say, if you had 6 months to prepare too, you'd probably just be you'd be 3 months more added on to what you were doing to try to get ready. And you're right. Strength is not a weakness when you think about those things. That's not going to hinder you. There's a point in time where you could get way too much towards the strength side and then really deviate away from any of the cardiovascular stuff that you were talking about, just because of what it entails to be safe at that job and actually survive in that career.
Yeah. So putting mobility up there, and that's me and that's kind of fits like the whole mold. It kind of pulls it all together, is that being the multifaceted athlete, I do spend time working on my mobility work. And, I do suck at getting overhead in a snatch. Like my overhead position sucks because I've bench pressed for too much for too long. Like, oh yeah, that'd be something I've done different. But being able to still move, and we'll use the term functionally, in a crouch position, duck walking type deal, I'm still able to do some of that stuff as a bigger guy. And that's something that you have to hold to. If you're like a bodybuilder and you're really muscle bound, it's gonna be a lot harder to do that firefighting job if you literally have like so much more immobility, like in a lat position, your shoulders don't move the way you need them to. I run into it a little bit, but I know I'm aware of it now and I'm continuing working it. One of the simplest ones is being able to reach back and turn on your air pack by yourself is something right shoulder issues is already hard for me to do, but I worked my ass off of that now I can do it. I can't turn it off, but I can turn it on. So, yeah, it's the mobility part of it and staying and really in my mind, just being an athlete. Any person, no matter what you're doing, in my opinion, needs to be an athlete. If you're a powerlifter, you want to get as strong as possible. Yeah. The top of the top of the top are not going to be as quote unquote, if we use the term athletic loosely, still being able to run, jump, skip, quote unquote, play like you tell kids to do. I want to be able to still do all that stuff and still be as big and strong as possible. I keep that in the back of my head. I got to be able to move well and exert and apply my force well.
I love that. Yeah, be an athlete. I mean, that plays a huge role into everything you've been saying, being ready and being in good shape and not being so beat up that you can actually do your job and you can perform at Highland Games and you can do all these things. And it's not overextending yourself in one facet and not another. And not forgetting some of the simplistic stuff like we talked about, like jumping and sleeping and all those things that plays a huge role if you're going to be quote unquote a generalist and everything and still be able to, when push comes to shove, you have a competition coming up or a fire, like that fire bell rings, like you can excel at those things and rely on your training and rely on your athleticism from everything else you've been doing over the course of your career. So that's awesome, man. Hey, so like any good training session, we end the show with a good finisher. So I know you've been doing a lot more conditioning lately, so this will fit right for you.
All right.
So we got 4 quarters, 4 questions, and potentially overtime at the end. But you ready?
I'm ready.
Take your time, or you can go rapid fire. But first one
I'm going to go rapid fire. Let's do it.
All right. So first one I got. First, biggest influence in coaching and biggest influence in strength sports across the spectrum.
All right. I'm not going to go rapid fire. Biggest influence in coaching is probably going to have to be Coach Ken, just because of how much I now use the tier system or use those principles. And there's so many things, like if you delve into, and obviously I've had numerous conversations with him, but even delving into some of the presentation stuff he's done and looking at this, that, and the other, there's a lot that I use from his principles and some of the stuff from that experience. I'd have to go strictly to that one being my biggest coaching influence. If not, it's going to be, it's dumb, but I'm going to say myself I learned from so many other people and putting that time into read, as dumb as it is, read training logs. I got so much out of that. So, and then the other one was in strength sports specifically, you said?
Yeah. Like in strength sports across the spectrum, since you've been dabbling in all of them.
I'll give a 2-part. The first being one of the guys that originally inspired me in terms of competing in a lot of strength sports was a training partner, and that was Dr. Derek Wilcox. Derek, as himself, competed successfully in multi strength sports, and I just thought it was cool when I was first getting into it. And Derek and I trained together for at least 4 years, so I've learned a ton from him, especially in geared powerlifting. Derek was a gear wizard because of injuries and this, that, and the other. Hey, if you're not the strongest and you can use gear, you better learn how to use the gear really well to compete. So Derek I learned a lot from Derek, and he motivated me a lot there. But then I would also say that, my brother is probably my other one. Him getting into strength sports, based off of my influence, honestly, I don't want to claim that, but let's just say that's what it was. It's been cool. My brother has been a real motivator for me to try to, one was for the longest time trying to outlift him. And now I've lost completely. Outlift him, outthrow him. I think I still got him in the weightlifting movements, but everything else, he's got me beat. And so that competitiveness between the two of us, we fought a lot when we were younger, and then really spending a little time away and then coming together and spending some time together in college and then splitting back up after college. We've gotten a lot closer, and both competing in multi-strength sports. It's like he's been way more successful in powerlifting, way more successful in Highland Games, but us pushing each other back and forth and doing a lot of coaching back and forth with one another. It's really weird to see the results when I'm asking him for coaching advice, because for the longest time it was me coaching him, but he's gone out and got other coaches and got other influences that I have the most fun being able to compete with him. I want to get to the pro ranks to get back to competing in the same competition as him, but we've always tried to compete at the same games, or tried to schedule and doing a lot of the games together, because it's fun being around, knowing he's successful in the sport, I'm successful in the sport. And we looked at that both being competitive, at how many games we'd been podium together, how many games one of us had podiumed or not. But yeah, man, we he's been probably one of the other biggest influences in strength sports, being a competitor and a coach.
That's awesome. Yeah, you got to have fun, but it's nice to see the students kind of surpass the teachers after a while.
Love it.
That's cool. Hopefully, maybe you can pick his brain now and leapfrog him in the future.
It's going to be hard. I mean, he's got the genetic lottery on me. I mean, hey, same parents, but when you're a thrower and he's 6'3", 280 and athletic, and I'm not that, it's going to be hard.
I hear you. I got dealt the short end of the stick too. Short for sure. With both my brothers being 6'1", 6'3", and sitting at 5'10" on a good day. that one hurt. So next one I got for you. What can you be found doing when you're not coaching, competing, or at the firehouse? What are some of your hobbies outside of kind of the walls of the weight room?
Sleeping. In eating. Actually, I'm going to go a little long-winded. I know we've kind of gone long-winded on this, but I've loved this, man. You've asked some phenomenal questions. I've loved every minute of this. That is something that is super important for someone to do is actually find more than one hobby. This is getting personal and it's not talked about a lot, and it's becoming more not as taboo, but I struggled while I was in the academy, kind of mental health wise a little bit. Nothing like I've never been medicated. I never actually went and talked to a doc, but our peer support team with the fire department, I went to my training camp and said, hey, I need to talk to somebody. I was getting like blood boiling, pissed off at some of the smallest things. And I didn't want this to get any worse. And I said, this isn't normal for me. And I actually, they put me in a talk, and just one 30-minute conversation with one of the guys that led our peer support team. He said, and he was going to set me up with somebody else, but his 30-minute conversation, he asked me a simple question. He said, what do you do for stress relief? I said, well, normally, compete in strength sports. I lift and throw and go do that. That's my stress relief. That's what I enjoy doing. Those are my hobbies. And I wasn't doing that during the academy because I didn't want to risk getting hurt. And it was so funny that him just asked me that, and me voicing it out loud made me aware of it to made me change some focus. And so if anybody, man, talk to people, get that out. I know this is kind of off topic, but something that, it helped me tremendously just to be aware. So take some self-awareness scans of what was going on. It was so simple that all I needed for me to really feel 100 times better was somebody be like, just listen to me talk, and then said, well, what do you do for stress relief? It changed my life really in that moment in time. Yes, eating and sleeping. I love food. I'm a decent cook. So I have enjoyed, we cook at the firehouse twice a day. I do a lot of the cooking for my crew because I do enjoy it. And I'm not in the whole meat smoking thing yet. It's kind of the new craze, but man, I'm really close to get into that. But I do sleep a lot, but 2-ish years ago, I'm an avid outdoorsman now. I've got into hunting, big bow hunter. I have not killed anything gigantic, but there's a little bit right there, not on the walls yet. But yeah, we got video, and I'm pointing at deer antlers if this isn't video put out, but that actually was great stress relief, man. Just going and shooting my bow, even at a target, you have to shut your mind off to be able to focus on shooting that bow. That helps me a lot. Spending a lot more time in the woods. It's allowed me to get somewhere and shut off so that, yes, I'm not having the gym and the fire and the fiance, and there's nothing bad about her, but everything, all of life thrown at you. When I'm in the woods, I can shut off and not worry about any of it. Now, I'm guilty. I play on my phone. I write programs on my phone and Google Sheets for clients and stuff like that. So it's not completely shut off, but there are times where you go out and it's just you and outdoors. And it's been really good for me to learn and be able to get away from life for a little bit, because I am a busybody. Now I've spent a lot of time in the woods this year trying to be successful. Okay season, no antlers so far from a deer perspective, but I've shot 3 does in 3 different states and had, so I've traveled a little bit, got to hang out with some friends, got to do that. That was different from Highland Games. And it's taken some time away from maybe my lifting and competing, but it's another outlet that is a stress relief that I can go do and become a hobby and something that I've loved learning about. And I mentioned it earlier about you can never stop learning in strength sports. with the fire department, I absolutely love getting into it because I could learn something I knew absolutely nothing about, and hunting has been the same thing. So I'm a learner, and I really love doing that stuff and I'm dove head first in that. I've really enjoyed getting into hunting and trying to expand it. I want to do some duck hunting. I don't know if that's going to happen this coming spring, like January time, but I'm definitely going to try turkey hunt come our springtime. My captain at the firehouse is a big turkey hunter, so we're going to do that. So having some fun with learning the outdoor stuff. I never did it growing up, and I absolutely love it now.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's surprising too for hunting. I mean, Boone, North Carolina, App State seems like that's the perfect place to hunt too.
There's some decent deer up in the mountains of North Carolina. North Carolina is not known for being a giant deer state. And it's just, I mean, I traveled to Ohio this year and I shot a doe up there. Didn't have any success with, didn't have any bucks come in front of me. It was very slow when we went. And same with Virginia. You can travel around. So it's something too. It's giving me a different reason to maybe do a little bit different traveling. I may try to do Nebraska next year with some of the guys that went to Ohio with. So not sure on that because of lifetime and money and work, but it's in the works. That there's just so much out there in the outdoor world to experience that's so different. That, I mean, I'm in Charlotte now, so hunting's a little different down here. Yeah, you have to get out to the agricultural areas. Can't really do much in the city, but yeah, man, it's been great.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I'm glad you touched on all that stuff. I think that's a big thing that goes missing from like a lot of fellow competitors or avid people that enjoy training. Like that can't be the only thing that you're doing. You have to get out of that. And that actually, as you were kind of talking about it, I thought about it. I was like, I was going to ask you the same thing. I was like, were you starting to lose it like when you weren't training? Because I felt that way like when I was moving, and I was like, I'm not training, I'm not doing anything. That's my outlet. I was like, I better figure something else out, and still looking to see what it is, because like I like going out and finding craft beers and finding some good places to eat. But you can't, I can't do a lot of that and not train too. That's
and that's another one. I'm a big craft beer fan. So that's another one that we do that a lot as kind of date nights or just to get away. We'll go do something. We'll go find a different brewery, and Charlotte's blown up for that. So it's been great too, man.
That's awesome. Hey, so we'll touch on this one then. If not Highland Games, what sport do you think you would want to go professional in, or take all your athletic experience and be able to dump it into? And if you were able to pick a different career path other than like firefighting, what do you think you would have chosen after coaching?
Man, these are difficult. I was like rapid fire, different from my old podcast. Rapid fire was like, what's your favorite beer? Really easy ones.
I like those too, though.
Yeah. That's hard, man.
Let's do it like this. Let's do it like this. If you could, if you could pick a sport that you haven't been able to try yet, that maybe is like on your list. Obviously, you talk about wanting to learn a bunch of stuff. What's a sport or maybe something outdoors that you haven't done yet that you're itching to try?
Yeah, you want to hear something cool? I'm getting 10 cases of C4 delivered to my house right now. So it was supposed to come for an event, and they had some warehouse issues, but I see them getting off of FedEx with C4 boxes. I was wondering, it was supposed to come for an event last weekend, and they just couldn't get it out to us in time. That's hilarious. But so a lot of strength sports athletes are getting into jujitsu kind of on the later end of their careers. I was a wrestler. I'd honestly want to go back and wrestle instead of doing jujitsu, but that may be something I want to dabble into eventually, maybe a little bit. I think my background and experience would help a little bit with that. I know it's not perfect world wrestling to jiu-jitsu, but definitely not MMA. Like I've tried some Muay Thai one time in college, and I said, nope, not for me. I had buddies that I would like, no, I'm scared of you now. I honestly, it kind of would go with like maybe more competitive archery or something like that. I've really enjoyed it. It relates to the hunting thing. But if it was going to be a strength sport, I'd probably rather get back into geared powerlifting over Olympic weightlifting. I don't know the time. It's hard to pick between one of the two. If it was a toss up, honestly, it might be Olympic weight. Maybe it depends on the day or how that training block is going, which one I would pick. The adrenaline rush is awesome with both. So it'd be hard to pick one of the two, man.
Yeah. Jiu-jitsu is one thing that I was starting to pick up when I was leaving California, and it's definitely a lot of fun. Didn't wrestle. The only hard part is like, if you're doing it long enough, that's where the injuries start piling up. But
and honestly, I say that just because it's kind of a generic answer. I'm not jazzed about it. I'd rather go back to powerlifting or weightlifting. And that would, I mean, yeah, that'd be it. Or I'd keep, I mean, yeah, you say not throwing. I'm like, I'd just keep throwing.
I mean, there's so many classes you could throw until you're 100. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All right. So, hey, I know this probably varies a lot based off what kind of training you're doing for the day, but in general, if you were setting up an ideal training day for yourself, what does your training music look like? And what does that post-training meal look like?
Ideal. Well, the ideal, I would lift in the afternoon. I personally, as much as I have to work out in the morning now, most of the time, I feel better in some cases. It's that if my body is up, I'm awake, I'm moving around, I feel looser to lift in the afternoon. I have some food in me. I have some hydration in me through the day, not just overnight. Ready for that lift. Now it would probably be, and if this is a lift and not a throwing session. So if I'm lifting, the ideal lift session is probably going to be a big squat session. I'll definitely probably drink 2 energy drinks if it's going to be the perfect one. There'll probably be one before and then one during, and eat a candy bar before. Man, we used to do the same thing for squat days every day in college when I had squat days at noon. But 5 o'clock training time, 4:30. I'd probably show up at the gym at 4. Just really start getting going about 5 o'clock. Good group session, heavy squats. Post training would probably, perfect world, go get some sushi. I mean, I'll eat anything. I've eaten an entire pizza during a workout before. People look at me like I'm crazy. Doesn't bother me. I do have a pretty good like iron stomach with 99% of things. So like I've eaten literally a full Little Caesars pizza during a workout and not vomited. But there's a couple, I would probably pick the really good, my favorite sushi restaurant to go to, even though it's more expensive. But there is the all you can eat sushi place that's still really good. That would be post training, that and a freaking carton of chocolate milk.
Man, you're really targeting my heart right there. That's awesome. Hey, so last one I got for you for overtime.
All right.
And take as long as you need. Favorite either under the bar memory or competition memory of yours, or the first one that comes to mind.
Okay. Oh, and you mentioned music, last one.
Oh, yeah.
99% of the time, I listen to like country while I'm lifting. People hate it in the gym. I think music, I want to save the good music for when I really need it. And then it varies. I've got some weird songs that I'm more often than not lately, when I'm listening to them, I try to relax more than get amped up. It's freaking wild, but it is like, I got a wide variety. I probably should make its own little playlist. There's a couple, like, everybody's got their couple rock songs that are just heavy rock songs that they play during that workout. But that was the one. Now, favorite lifting or competing memory. So I'll give you a throwing one and I'll give you a lifting one. Lifting one's easy. Well, throwing one's easy. I don't have a specific throw. No, there's one specific. I didn't throw it. It was when my brother hit amateur world record in the sheath at the World Championships, and I was there competing against him. Man, it was fun. I was at the classic, holding my phone, videoing for him, yelling for him, and then he makes it. I'm screaming. The phone's going everywhere, recording. Man, awesome moment to kind of be there for it. Just fun environment. That games, the Amateur World Championships, is the guys that throw, you're better throwers. So everyone wants to compete, but everyone's kind of relaxed. It's a weird vibe, man. It is. And that's when I go throw, and I go throw with friends or guys that are good compete. I love going out. We have fun. We go hard. We go after it. But everybody's there with the same kind of intentions. And that games has a fun, it's a fun weekend to go and compete against the great guys. Do your best. You know everybody's there to throw their best. You can't do anything about it. And see how the cards fall. That games is really fun. And I enjoy the travel of it. So in terms of the whole experience, when I did lightweights in 2017 and I got to go to the World Championships in Hungary, what mattered more than the entire Highland Games was me and my fiance vacationed in Italy for a week after. Freaking awesome. Like, that was phenomenal. That was my first time out of the country. That was the best thing I've ever done in strength sports, was that trip. And I do love going to Colorado. Might try to go this year. We got to see how if I can get vacation. Go to Estes Park Highland Games in Colorado. We make a whole trip out of for about a week. Stay with my aunt out there, and we go travel all over, breweries, hike, all this, that. We love that trip. So that's what we're thinking about doing again this year. So that's Highland Games. It's really not a specific moment in terms of a throw or something like that. There's always been some fun ones, flipping a big caber and the crowd going wild. Like, there's so many memories related to that kind of stuff that I don't have a specific one. But lifting, I would have to say, when I lifted at the Queen City Classic weightlifting meet, my friends put on here in Charlotte. I guess it was 2019 is when it was, I think. So I had trained for weightlifting for a little bit. We did the state championships in like the fall. Yeah, that was in like the fall. It was the first time I ever won a state championship in something, but it was weird that I'm like 28 years old. So that was kind of cool. But then the following spring, I had a string of lifting and everything was going like awesome. And I want to try to repeat it. I actually have redone the training cycle. Things are going pretty good right now, but not perfectly. But I went into that meet. My snatch and clean and jerk, like, I think I'd snatched going into the meet was a 121 in the gym and 120 in comp. And then clean and jerk, I think, was it might've been like 150 or 155 kilos in competition. I think it was maybe a 150 ish. I can't remember specifically, but I went into that comp and I literally said, I'm going to have more fun than anyone else at that comp. That is literally my motivation. That is what I, like, in my head saw everything. So weightlifting meets typically are kind of quieter. Well, Sean and Taylor do a pretty good job. They play music, stuff like that. Like, I'm the whole, like, pump the crowd up, get the crowd behind me for like my opening lift. I'm like, this is retarded. I hate when people do this, but I'm doing it. And I'm going to have more fun. My warm-ups, the music I was listening to, upbeat, relaxed, having fun. I'm singing lyrics to myself, which some of that was some Mac Miller. There's some, what else? I know there's a couple Mac Miller songs that groove with me perfect, but man. And then there's, but I hit like 100. I opened at 120. I hit 125, which is a PR. And I looked at Sean, who's a friend of mine, who's running this meet. He's a Olympic or national level coach here. I said, what do I do next? And he was like, he was a 127, maybe 128. I was like, screw it. Put 130 on the bar. And I told myself in that lift, I'm like, back tight. And I said, keep your back tight and pull up hell. And it was one of those like pull and pray moments, caught it in the bottom. And like, I was like, mouth open. I couldn't believe I caught it and stood up with it and just freaking out. And I was like, and I still get to clean and jerk. This is awesome. So had 9 kilo PR in the snatch. So it's like, I lifted, I went 6 for 6, unheard of on the day, went clean and jerks. I went like, I think I hit 155 or 156 on my second. And once again, I was like, I guess I'm going 160. I've cleaned at that point. I cleaned 166 at one point, but I hadn't ever jerked anything over like 155. I was like, no, wait, I'm going to go 161 because I want to do 1 kilo over one of my training partners that I've done with weightlifting for forever. That's his sport. Just a competitive mindset, man. Go back and forth in all good fun, sending, I was like, I got to try it. I got to try to do 1 kilo more than him just cause, and went out there and like, there's a couple people took pictures and videos and it's like one of those, like, I didn't plan a single bit of it. He puts on Enter Sandman from Metallica. They've got the way they had the lights set up and it was in a brewery. I clapped like chalk inadvertently and there's fucking cloud and I walked through it. I was like, and watching it back, I'm like, this dude thinks he's a badass. Look at him. And I'm like, but in the moment, I had them like turn the music up. I got people loud, and I like stopped and I was like, keep going. And then crush the lift, crush the clean, same thing. Back tight, pull like hell. And then on the jerk, went through my chin on the jerk. I like right through my chin, knocked my head back, somehow caught the jerk, stand up. And then like, just like this moment of just like, could not believe it. It's actually the background on my phone. I got too many pictures. Boom. This moment of like just fist pumping, just this head down, fist pumping, pumped up, just like couldn't believe what just happened. Best meet of my life. Like I some insane PR total, like just it happened in the moment. And there's somebody else, I think I lifted the most in the meet, but I got beat by some little kid lifting about the same weight. So did I care? No. I literally went in and said, I'm going to have more fun than anybody else. And good Lord, was it not just one of the most fun competitions I've been and I was just like, I'm going to be that guy that I'm going to make sure the crowd's ever. I had friends in the crowd that were drunk as hell, which was even better. Like hearing them yelling as I'm doing the lift, like, I'm like, that's what I love about strength sports is I can have friends come up drunk as hell and I'm having fun lifting, environment, loud music, good lifts. I don't care. Like I'm jazzed up talking about it right now. I'm like, I guess I'm going to go lift this afternoon. It's moments like that keep you coming back for more. The adrenaline rush, the excitement, the chase, the journey, man, that is what I do this shit for. And it doesn't matter what it is. I do the same in powerlifting, man, pulling a big deadlift, that feeling. I cried when I squatted 500 pounds raw because I never thought I would do it. I did that before I went in the academy. That might be the other moment. I actually freaking cried in the gym. After hurting my back in college, powerlifting, it's been an up and down road for almost 10 years now. I've never been a great squatter because my back seems to hold me back. I've had to figure out ways to work around it. And I've had some knee issues with tendonitis real bad, yada, yada, whatever it is. It was one of those, like, it seemed like an insurmountable number to ever chase down. I just never felt like I could ever get there. I get steam going and never quite get there. Like I hit 475 like 2-3 years ago. And then I back downhill from there. And I just never seemed to get there. And I did it right before I went in the academy in September of 2020. And I did it in the gym and I freaking cried afterwards because it was one of those, like the emotion, like the time and spent in the gym and put into this for it to happen. It was one of those, I never thought it was ever going to happen. And then when like training was going well, and then it still wasn't like, I was like, yeah, something's going to come up and I'm not going to get it. Like when I finally got it done, that would be the one other moment like that I actually cried over just so much of my life has been in it that was what it was, man.
That's awesome, man. Those are always cool things to hear. And I mean, I can only imagine like people dedicating their lives and all their extracurricular like time and energy and focus and planning and everything to see it culminate like in one moment or like go into a meet randomly and just say, I'm going to have as much fun as possible. And it end up being like one of your most fond memories.
Yeah.
That's awesome. It's a big reason why I love training and like just going to compete and doing everything. And yeah, you're right. Like Highland Games, like just going out and kind of playing fast and loose. It's still competitive, but just hanging out with the guys, like that's the stuff I don't want to miss out on. Those things are so cool. And you can't really replicate that anywhere else. Training's fun, but like to see what you're made of and see what everybody else has been doing in their spare time too, and bring them all together. Those are all cool stories, man. I don't want to talk anymore and steal away from what you said. So, hey, like we said, you got a lot of stuff going on. Obviously, like being a Charlotte firefighter, you took real well with the mustache too. Like you got everything going on.
I've got to the point I'm getting compliments on it, man. I've made it. I've actually made it.
Hey, but for anybody that's got questions or follow up, and anybody in the Charlotte area too, that's looking for an awesome place to train, where can they get a hold of you? Where can they find the Strength Empire?
The most common is on Instagram, Strength Empire Gym on Instagram. If you're in the Memphis area, my brother opened a Strength Empire Memphis. If you happen to be around there, go visit him, hit them up. They actually had the Alabama basketball team in there the other day, which was really cool. I guess coach brought them by for a pregame lift or something, but My personal Instagram is Blatnick Strength, Blatnik, Blatnick Strength. I'm on Facebook, TikTok, whatever it is. I'm on all of them. You kind of almost have to be is from an advertising standpoint. The one I try to put a lot of effort into is my YouTube. I think it's the Strength and Power Gym is the YouTube. Find that. If you follow me there, I try to do a lot of my training with voiceover because I feel like I've gotten so much out of that over the years, listening to somebody else talking about what they're doing or explaining what's going on. So I try to put a ton of info there. But I'm all for anybody reaching out, needing help, needing drag. I had somebody reach out literally last night saying, "Hey, I'm doing this powerlifting meet. I'm looking for a game day coach. Do you know anyone?" And I said, "I don't, but I posted on my Instagram. Hey, does anybody know anybody?" So however I can help to connect people to help grow strength sports, that's what my passion is. Please check me out wherever you need to. Hit me up, send me a message. I'll try to get back to you if I'm on a fire or on some EMS call. I'll get back to you later. Or if I'm in the woods, maybe I'll pull up my phone and send you a message if I'm in the woods.
Awesome, man. Hey, well, I can't thank you enough for coming on, sharing all those stories. It's good to hear everything you got going on. And like I said, this has been a long time in the making. So
yeah.
Hopefully
sorry, I'm a little long-winded.
No, this was awesome.
Man, I hope if somebody's got to this far, they got to the good stories at the end, huh?
Oh yeah. I mean, all of them were great, but I hope they got this far as well. And I'll look for, I'm going to keep picking your brain and hopefully we can do a competition going forward someday.
Absolutely, man.
Awesome, man. Well, I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds good, brother.
That's it for this episode of The Strength Game. Thank you again to this week's guest and to our sponsors, Cerberus Strength. Be sure to connect and keep up with our guests at the links in the description below. Remember to subscribe to us on Apple and Google Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcast provider to stay up to date on all future episodes. Also, check us out on YouTube and CoachO'Brien.com, where you can find all the video versions of these episodes, as well as show notes, episode schedule, and much more. Comments, ratings, and reviews are always welcome and appreciated. Thanks again for tuning in, and be sure to join us next week for another great episode of The Strength Game.